Good evening. I'm Nisa Petrilli.
I'm Jay Kaplan.
I'm Anthony Schreight.
I'm Steve Ferguson.
And I'm Sean Roman.
And this is the On the Sports Lines 2017 NFL Draft Special. Training camps aren't until August, the games aren't until September, but for fans, the NFL season starts with the draft. Tonight we'll break down picks 1 through 5, play GM for the Jets and Giants and tell you what we would do with their first round picks, and take a look at the most NFL-ready players at key positions. As always, you can find us on social media. Follow us on Twitter at On The Sports Lines and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/OnTheSportsLines. The first 5 picks of the 2017 NFL Draft are in the books. Did the Browns, Bears, 49ers, Jaguars, and Titans make the right ones? We're each going to take a team and weigh in. Jay, did the Browns make the right or wrong pick selecting Myles Garrett at number 1?
Your husband can rest easy. They didn't screw this one up. Myles Garrett was the pick, and he is the guy they should have taken, so nice job for once. You're getting an explosive, slippery pass rusher. He's a freakishly gifted athlete. The guy ran a 4.6 40 at 270-plus pounds. Great first-step quickness, uses his length well. He gets outside leverage. Now, I could stand to see him improve his hands a little bit. Would like him to close better, but and get his arms up more often to disrupt the pass lane. But man, this guy is a freak. Dominates tight ends one-on-one in blocking schemes. He can stay even with offensive tackles, even in a phone booth situation. Here's the deal. He's a versatile edge defender. He can line up in either defensive spot in a 4-3 base. He can play outside the linebacker in a 3-4 base. He's got a great motor. Warren Sapp, you don't know what you're talking about. If the guy took some plays off, in your opinion, that last year, the guy was nursing an ankle injury, okay? Give him a break. Conserves his energy when you realize he's out of the play, but he plays a high number of snaps. He's played through injury this past year. Ability to elevate his game when a big play is needed. Here's a lot of people comparison the NFL is Julius Peppers, and that's not a bad guy to be compared to. Bottom line, elite pass rusher with explosiveness, good size. I don't care if he's not a hold-your-ground defender. He can play outside linebacker for you. He's going to explode through the backfield. He still needs to fine-tune his pass rush strategies to get a little more moves. But here's the bottom line. His pass rush production translates to a standout career as a pass rusher. And when you're the Cleveland Browns and you play Roethlisberger, Dalton, and Flacco 6 times a year, and you were last in the NFL with the paltry 26 sacks, you need a pass rusher. You finally got this one right, Browns.
So I'm going to take the second pick, which
was the 49ers,
Yeah.
but they traded with the Bears. They flip-flop picks at 2-3. So what do you think? Did the Bears make the right move trading up to take Mitchell Trubisky from quarterback from North Carolina?
Well, okay, so on one hand, Trubisky is a solid pick because the Bears need a quarterback, and Mike Glennon, who they got in free agency, is essentially a bridge to the future. He's not the guy that they think is going to be the quarterback of the future. So Mitchell can sit in year 1 and learn from someone who's started in the NFL. But I think Solomon Thomas would have been a much better pick
Agreed.
here. Thomas is the best pass rusher after Texas A&M's Myles Garrett. He was the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year, and he had an impressive bowl game versus North Carolina, which helped improve his draft stock tremendously. The subsequent workouts he's had in the last few weeks have taken him from a fringe top 10 player to definitely a consensus top 5.
Yeah,
so,
he spent a lot of time blowing up Trubisky in that bowl game. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Which brings us to the 49ers. So, Steve, speaking of Solomon Thomas, did the 49ers make the right or wrong pick here?
I would have to say yes. It was a surprise that they got him in a trade, but here's the reason why they did. This guy is 6'3", 273, 62 tackles last year. 15 of those came from behind the line of scrimmage. He was also the Morris Trophy winner in 2016 for being the best Pac-12 defender. And as you did mention earlier about Trubisky, he got after him very well in the bowl game. And he's exceptionally strong and fast. So yeah, they definitely needed that kind of player, and I think they did make the right pick.
So Sean, did the Jaguars make the right pick or the wrong pick taking up Fournette?
Leonard Fournette.
Leonard Fournette.
I would say you have to trust their new VP of Operations, Tom Coughlin. And I think he looked at this and analyzed this in an unexpected manner. It's not so much picking Leonard Fournette, as dynamic as he is. It's to protect their other and former #1 pick, Blake Bortles, who really hasn't had a chance to shine since he's been picked. Last year, 3 wins. The year before, because of Bortles' excellent play, they were at least within maybe a stretching arm's reach of the playoff. But he really hasn't had any type of shot. And this right here is the pick that gives him the best chance to shine. As far as Leonard Fournette, if you just watch the SEC football, watching when he touches the ball, it is dynamic. He is a runner, a runner, a runner. Give him the ball, watch him run. He does have weaknesses in terms of blocking and pass catching, but he's paid to do one thing, and I don't think anybody does it better. And that's what the Jaguars are looking for, the Ezekiel Elliott effect.
Yeah,
They saw someone who is absolutely explosive, who runs away from players. He's been actually compared to Bo Jackson in Tecmo Bowl against other So if you can have that type of explosive player for maybe 2-3 years, that allows your elite quarterback to shine. That's why I think they made the pick, and I got to trust Tom Coughlin.
I agree with you, man.
I agree.
So, Anthony, the Titans surprised everybody a little bit with their pick. Did they make the right or wrong choice drafting Corey Davis at number 5?
No, and I gotta say, the right idea, but the wrong receiver. You have Mike Williams from Clemson, a championship pedigree, available at number 5, and you go with the 3rd, maybe 4th best receiver on the draft board. Here's the thing: Corey Davis is coming out of the MAC from Western Michigan. Great season, 1,500 yards, but he had just had ankle surgery.
Correct.
Not to mention, he has problems with lapse in concentration on the field. You can't do that in the National Football League.
No.
You definitely can't do that in the AFC South.
Nope.
Mike Williams, on the other hand, 1,300 yards receiving last year. By the way, the 2 college football playoff games, 14 catches, 190 yards, 1 touchdown. He's a big physical receiver. Reminds me of Brandon Marshall, by the way.
Yeah.
If you want to compare to a current NFL receiver. But also, he is a big target that Marcus Mariota needs out in the outside. He's coming off a broken fibula, and you need something to offset that running game that was so good, because for Mike Williams, what he does best is he stretches the field, and he makes a defense take away that 7-8 man box that opens up the running game. And I just think Tennessee really whiffed on this pick. And
Here's the thing about the draft. We're looking at it purely on value, because we don't know what these guys are going to produce.
Not at all.
You know, I mean, some of them we have a better idea than others. Here's the thing about Davis. It's a stretch. He's a 2nd rounder. But I'll tell you this, you may not see it this year. 2-3 years down the road, Marcus Mariota is going to enjoy throwing
And I see, I'm looking at these first 5 picks. I don't see any offensive line players. You know what?
It's not a deep draft.
You know
for
what the
offensive line
Cowboys
play.
did the previous 3 years to taking Ezekiel Elliott? They
built
took
an
an
offensive
offensive line,
offensive
which
line.
allowed that Ezekiel Elliott
It's
pick
the old-
to shine even greater
That's right.
than it may have if they had made other defensive
They
or
made
different
Dak
type of picks.
Prescott
No,
that
the
much
old
better,
process
too.
mentality. You
Build
build
out
your team
from the
inside
line.
out.
Yeah.
And you build with the
That's a
O-line.
smart way to
But I
do
just
it.
think Mike Williams right now, with Tennessee in a weak AFC South division, he can help you win right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And with Marcus Mariota, and you have the running game, that's what they need right now, because the Titans are right there. Mariota stays healthy, doesn't break his fibula.
Yeah.
Who knows? It might make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But right now, I think Mike
They were
Williams would
close.
have been a better pick.
I agree with you 100%. They needed a playmaker, and he's the best perimeter playmaker in the draft.
Definitely. Well, the New York Jets, coming off a 5-11 season, had the 6th pick in the draft. They had immediate needs at quarterback again, safety, center, tight end, cornerback. They used their pick on Jamal Adams, safety out of LSU. Anthony, did GM Mike McCagnon make the right call or the wrong call with this pick?
You got Jamal Adams, who's a safety and a definite need for the Jets. So that is a correct pick. And look, this is the Jets, so I was kind of skeptical.
We both were.
Yeah, we both were. At what they were going to do. But when you look at Jamal Adams, he is a natural leader on the field, which the Jets sorely, desperately needed in that secondary. Because how many times, and we talked about this on past shows, where there was miscommunications between the safeties and the corners, or who was covering who, and they've given up a lot of big plays. But also, he's not afraid to be a big hitter.
No.
Which I absolutely love. I love a guy who is a big physical safety who could go in, who could stop the run, who can cover guys, who can cover plenty of field.
Oh, yeah.
But is not afraid to sock you in the mouth too, which is a good thing. But the only thing, and by the way, he's also the son of a former
That
New
is
York
correct,
Giant,
yes.
George Adams.
That's right.
By the way, now, I always like to throw that in because I'm a Giants fan.
Yeah.
Sue me. But when you look at it right now, he's compared to Darren Woodson. And if you're a
Yeah.
Cowboy fan, you remember Darren Woodson being that run stopper and the guy who can cover both sides of the field. And the Jets, I think, really got it right with this pick. They needed a lot. He needed help in the secondary in the worst possible way.
Yeah.
They got one of the two best safeties available, which is a surprise because I didn't think he was going to be available.
I didn't think I didn't think Adams would be available. I mean, every mock draft had Adams going number 3 to the Bears if the Bears were going to stay at number 3. I got to tell you, as much as I like Adams, I have no issue with this pick. I'm the type of guy, when I'm looking at safeties, I look center fielder as opposed to hitman.
Yeah.
So I have no issue with it, but I would have leaned more towards going with Malik Hooker, the safety out of Ohio State. Tall, rangy safety, great instincts, lines up high. He is the best ball hawking safety in the draft. His ball instincts are ridiculous. He is being compared to Ed Reed in terms of being a center fielder. Can change direction, has an uncanny ability to anticipate throws, drive on it, jump routes. 7 interceptions last year, returned 3 of them for touchdowns. His run support could stand a little bit of improvement, but that's not most of what his game. Here's the deal. I have no issue with Adams, but if you're looking for a guy who's going to make plays, I would have leaned more towards Hooker, but honestly, I have no issue with this.
Yeah, Hooker is not a bad choice. My problem with him is his durability. He's had the
it's a
hamstring
question. He's
issues,
coming off surgery.
Yeah, and the best available, but durability. That's pretty much. You have to be on the field to be an impact player. If you're not on the field and not wasting a draft pick on you, keep in mind, Derek Miller is still in the back of the mind of Jet fans everywhere.
I don't know why.
So to pick a guy who may be injury prone, it's kind of like repeating history.
Agreed.
And the Jets don't want to go down that route again.
I agree. Like I said, I'm looking at my safeties to be ball hawks, to be able to make plays, to scare the crap out of quarterbacks in terms of throwing downfield. But I got to tell you, the Jets suffer from a lack of leadership everywhere.
Yeah.
So a guy like Adams, who is widely considered one of the best leaders at any position in the draft, that's why I'll go with you on this.
Yeah, but here's the thing, too, and I was talking about this before the show. You can survive without an offense, but you can be competitive and stay in games with a great defense. And
Absolutely.
the Jets need to rebuild their defense.
Right, that first, which is why I'm glad they didn't take a quarterback.
Definitely. Well, the New York Giants, coming off an 11-5 season, have the 23rd pick in the draft. They have immediate needs at offensive tackle, running back, outside linebacker, defensive tackle, and tight end. Sean, if you're GM Jerry Reese, where do you go with this pick?
Well, GM Jerry Reese, this is his 11th draft pick in all. 5 times he went on the defensive side of the ball. The other 5 times, obviously, offensive. So he can definitely go any which way, and we don't know. I see a lot of analysts saying, go for offensive line. I have no problem with that. Maybe Garrett Bowles will be around from Utah.
Yep.
Cam Robinson is there from Alabama, though the Giants do not like to take players who've been arrested the last year for driving around with drugs and a stolen gun in their car.
No, they have
they've had a number of those guys.
So, also, if some of the running backs, the great running backs fall, Christian McCaffrey's there, they would go in that direction.
He ain't getting past Carolina.
Now, the big thing is the Giants in the past have had ultra success using the draft to get little brothers of NFL stars.
Yes.
So that's why I think that they are going to go with a young man by the name of T.J. Watt. Younger brother of J.J. Watt.
That does sound familiar.
Played in the Big Ten. And when you're playing in the Big Ten, you are actually playing against the most NFL-ready group of people in the entire country. Big boys playing in Ohio State, Michigan, and all those schools, even if they're not winning the championships every year. Very rich talent pool there. Played 6 of the top 25 teams last year, 11.5 sacks, and look at his size right there, playing in defensive end. 6'5", 236, absolutely. Great character, no off-the-field issues at all. This is exactly the type of player that the Giants would target. A lot of the media is not big on him, but I think the Giants are going to give him a hard look, and if he's around, that's who I think they're going to take.
Well,
Steve?
I'm looking at another player that I think the Giants would also do well if they were to draft him, and that would be Zach Cunningham, the linebacker from Vanderbilt. He is a terrific linebacker, and one of his strengths is not only is he big and athletic at 6'4", 230, but he's also a guy who can play inside as well as outside linebacker. And the Giant defense, which certainly was much better last year, why not have another guy who can get after the quarterback as well as this guy can do it? So if they have the pick that I think they'll have, I think he'd be a good guy. But if O.J. Howard is available, since the Jets didn't draft him, the Giants couldn't do badly at all getting him.
No, that'd be a gift if he fell to 23.
It certainly
Yeah,
would.
it would. The divide between the way football is played at the college level and the NFL has been growing for years. Trying to determine just how NFL-ready a player on their draft board is has become more and more of an issue for pro personnel people. Our guys are going to tell you who they feel are the most NFL-ready players at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and defensive back. Jay, who is the most NFL-ready quarterback?
It ain't Mitch Trubisky, I'll tell you that. I don't know if you guys heard this, but Deshaun Watson said he thought it would be an insult if Trubisky got
slap in the
drafted
face.
before him. Guess what?
Yep.
And I disagree with this on a whole lot of levels. To me, Deshaun Watson is the most NFL-ready quarterback. He's highly confident. He's got an outstanding mental and physical toughness. Coaches rave about his leadership abilities. Clemson may have run an up-tempo shotgun offense, but Watson had a lot of check-with-me reads at the line of scrimmage. High percentage of half-field reads. The offense wasn't designed for him to make full-field reads, but he still was able to do it. Granted, he occasionally locks on his primary target. He may occasionally fail to see a linebacker or a safety. Part of the reason why his interception totals were a little up. The interesting thing is, guys, he may only have a 2.8 touchdown to interception ratio overall. In the fourth quarter, 16 touchdowns against only 2 picks. He does have to get better working through his progressions, but he needs to let routes develop more. But here's the thing. Highly accurate on short to intermediate throws. He does get a little scatter-armed when he doesn't have his feet aligned with his body, but I think the lack of run-pass option plays will allow that to be correctable. Great delivery, can make all the throws. He does need to adjust his mechanics a little bit to stop balls from getting knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Needs to improve his deep ball accuracy. A lot of his issues with throwing are mechanical that I believe can be corrected. His NFL comparison is Marcus Mariota, and we see how he's progressing. Yep. Watson went 32-3 as a starter. 2 ACC titles, 2 trips to the title game, 1 championship, 825 yards, 75 points against Alabama 2 years in a row. Vaunted defense. He's the most dynamic player at the quarterback position. He does have to get used to a pro-style system, snaps from center, making all the reads, but he has the physical tools and the intangibles to be one of the better starters in the NFL if he's developed and utilized properly.
I agree. So, Sean, tell me who's the most NFL-ready running back?
I really debated this, and for me it was between Leonard Fournette, who I mentioned before, and Christian McCaffrey. I think that the upside is so much greater with McCaffrey, actually, because he could do more in terms of his versatility. The blocking, the catching, and the running. But I think it's going to get him a longer period of time to get a grip on the game. Leonard Fournette is a player that week 1, you could throw him in, and he could run for 80 to 100 yards right there. And that's why, because of his dynamism and his explosiveness and just absolute raw talent of when you give him the ball, you know, this could be like Jim Thorpe, Bo Jackson, you know, Gale Sayers, a magician with the actual ball. That's the upside for him. Of course, I do worry about his durability. He does have the bad ankle. There was a lie agreed upon with him and the LSU coach to let him sit out. I don't think he was that active in wanting to get back on the field. So I think still ready right now, week 1.
Absolutely.
It's Leonard Fournette, but there is a risk. And I did want to point that out.
Yep. Steve, who's the most NFL-ready wide receiver?
I am also debated this a little bit too, but I think Mike Williams is probably the best wide receiver.
Tennessee didn't figure that one out.
No. I mean, the thing is, to tell you how good he is, and we all know New England, how great they are at picking, they actually, in one of the mock drafts, had him picked at 31. Now, it's a stretch to see him picked at number 5 by the Titans. And it may take him a little while to get used to the NFL style of the game. But there's no question about his ability to make catches, his speed, his ability to evade defenders. He's a terrific wide receiver. And I think, as Jay said earlier, I think he's going to really help Marcus Mariota, but it'll be about 2 years before we really know.
Yeah, and Williams could have stepped in and started tomorrow and helped Mariota.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So, Anthony, who's the most NFL-ready DB?
You know what? I'm going out of the ballpark with this one, but I'm going with Kevin King, the University of Washington.
All right.
A 6'3" corner who is a senior, played all 4 years. He's durable, which I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
You got to be available. He's only missed 3 games in 4 years, but he's also versatile. He played the nickel, he played free safety, he's played special teams. High football IQ, good feel in zone coverage. He's a tall, long, lengthy corner who's great at man-to-man, but he's also a great on-field leader and a vocal leader. I actually watched a few games with him. He's calling out plays. He's getting defensive backs lined up properly. That is an NFL-ready corner, defensive back if I've ever seen one. Anybody who can sit back and get his guys lined up and ready for the snap, that's a vocal leader. We don't have too many of those out of a young player under 25 who hasn't been in the NFL for more than 3 years. You get one right out of the gate with Kevin King. I really think he's going to be a starter by the end of next season. Hey, for all we know, he might be a starter at the beginning of the season. He is that good.
I got to tell you, it's funny. I mean, I had no idea who he was, but when you threw his name out in our production meeting, I went and actually looked up the scouting report on him. And I was more and more impressed with what I read about him and looked at some highlights, looked at some tape. This guy probably could start tomorrow as your slot corner. He can also play deep safety. He was very versatile in terms of where he can play. And I got to tell you, he's going to be a value pick round 2, 3, 4, wherever he goes. I got to agree with you. I was very surprised with this, but you know what? You nailed it.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
Yeah, because I'll take him over somebody like Richard Sherman who plays on one side of the field any day of the week. I can move him around and get better quality
There you go.
matchups.
Well, that music means it's time for the 3-minute warning. Sean, lead us off.
The few seconds that I have here will do little to cover the saga that was the life of Aaron Hernandez. His murder cases were difficult to follow. The allegations, the convictions, and the acquittals. I don't know what he was guilty of, but I do know that I noticed humility in his final days. And this can even be seen in prisoners, who are the most marginalized class in our society. The image that will always stick with me is Aaron pictured in court, lightly smiling and blowing a few kisses to his only child, while separated by just a few yards and some court officers. And his suicide, it made me realize, while it's easy to brand Aaron Hernandez as someone deserving of very little sympathy and as a pariah, it is the real challenge to recognize that such a man in his final act had the ability to write a scripture on his forehead that obviously meant something to him and keep the same verse open in a Bible in his cell as his last message to all of us onlookers, showing that I believe that the man who has fallen as mightily as any athlete has in my lifetime was still able to carry hope that there is something better ahead for him than what he was facing in this realm.
How can the Raiders move to Las Vegas? In their heyday of the 70s and 80s, the Oakland Raiders were one of the most highly respected and feared teams in the NFL. From Stabler to Branch to Biletnikoff, Plunkett to Christensen to Tim Brown, this intensely passionate, ferocious group of warriors were the most heavily penalized team that many of us love to hate.
Yep.
But from 2003 to 2014, the Raiders had one of the most obscene stretches in the history of the NFL. They were a close second to only the woe-begotten Cleveland Browns for the title of the NFL's perennial doormat. Finally, after years of rebuilding, they got to the postseason in 2016 with Carr, Murray, Mack, and Cooper. And now with the addition of Lynch and a possible Super Bowl trip in sight, they're leaving Oakland for Vegas. Shame on you for leaving those leather-lunged black hole fans. The Las Vegas Bandits seems like the right name for this team now, stripping the hearts and souls from their fans. A chilling and sad end to Raider Nation.
This week on Has to Make Turns, Kristaps Porzingis is angry and not talking to anyone. Feeling scorned, he is going home to Latvia to play basketball. Meanwhile, Carmelo Anthony may be on the verge of a painful divorce on and off the court, has news of his separation from his wife hit page 6. The owner is cursing out fans and blocking them from renewing season tickets. Triangle Phil, as he is known around these parts, insists on living in denial on what is wrong with his team. After blaming Melo for everything except his breakup, who knew a total square could have such an addiction to a triangle? All the while, the wrath of Knicks fans are doubled by watching former players, some felt sent away during this reign of terror, excel in the postseason for other teams. Can Phil and KP kiss and make up before next season? Will Melo be in a Knick uniform in spite of being practically pushed out the door? Will we ever look at Honey Nut Cheerios the same way again? Tune in next time, fans. Same Knicks time, same Knicks channel.
During the first half of Game 3 of the Western Conference Playoff Series between the Rockets and the Thunder, Rockets guard Patrick Beverley was knocked down while driving to the hoop and landed out of bounds in front of a Thunder fan. While he was on the floor, the fan repeatedly said, "F you, Patrick Beverley!" Beverley immediately pointed him out to officials, but nothing was done. After the game, Beverley found the fan and calmly told him that at the end of the day, this is just a basketball game. They're both grown men, and there's no need for that kind of blatant disrespect. The NBA fined Beverley $25,000 for confronting the fan, who turned out to be the son of one of the minority owners of the Thunder. Beverley had no issue with the fine. He knew he'd get one for confronting the fan. What he did have an issue with was the NBA's seeming lack of interest in protecting their players from that kind of verbal abuse. I have no problem with fans booing, heckling, or trash-talking players, but at some point a line has to be drawn, because if you don't, you have players going into the stands after fans. Google the Malice at the Palace and watch the first YouTube link if you doubt me. This type of behavior crosses the line, and fans used to get ejected for it. Do the right thing, Commissioner Silver. Lay down the law. I don't care if the fan is Joe Sixpack or an owner's son. Remind them that they don't have the right to be a complete jagoff to a player.
Jabril Peppers, former Michigan safety who was a first or second round draft prospect, tested positive for a diluted sample at the NFL Scouting Combine. A diluted sample is one that has an extremely high water content, and the NFL equates this to a positive drug test. Peppers claims he had food poisoning and drank excessive amounts of water to recover from the illness. But anyone who's had food poisoning knows this is a highly unlikely scenario. Plus, the NFL accounts for this by ensuring the sample is sufficiently diluted to be considered positive. A more likely scenario is that he was trying to flush his system to mask the presence of drugs. Peppers will now have to undergo the NFL's drug program, and he'll be joined by former Alabama linebacker Reuben Foster, who also had a diluted test and gave the same excuse. Come on, guys. Seriously? You know that every draft prospect invited to the Combine has to take a drug test. This is the career opportunity you've been working towards since you were a kid, and now when the draft is so close, you do something this stupid? NFL teams will have to take a closer look at these prospects to determine whether a potential problem exists. Peppers and Foster will certainly fall in the draft and now have a bad reputation heading into the beginning of their NFL careers. Not a good look, guys. Not a good look.
Nope.
For Jay Kaplan, Steve Ferguson, Sean Roman, and Anthony Strait, I'm Nisa Petrilli. Thanks for spending part of your evening with us. We'll see you on May 11th for another edition of On the Sports Lines. Remember, if you want to see this show again or catch up on any of the ones you might have missed, check us out at youtube.com/onthesportslines and check out our blog at onthesportslines.blogspot.com. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Enjoy the draft.
Happy draft.